What's going on, you guys, and welcome to the channel. Hope everybody's having a fantastic freaking day. Today we are picking up where we left off in our last video. If you have not seen that, go ahead and check it out. It will help this video make a little bit more sense. I was recently donated 4 computers. Most of these computers are in pretty rough shape. They look pretty disgusting. I picked one out that I'm hoping will work. It has equivalent specs compared to the last build that we did, and I'm hoping that all the components in this PC work. If they do, we are going to be transplanting these back into the original case that I featured in my last video and resume testing and see what kind of games we can run in 2025. So without further ado, you guys, let's get into this. Alright, you guys, so this is our donor PC in question, and this thing is absolutely disgusting. I am terrified to see what it's going to actually look like on the inside. I can see that these screws are all rusted. It looks like this thing has definitely been left just sitting outside or in a shed somewhere. This poor thing. So I'm not even going to open this thing up just yet. We are just going to plug it in. We're going to test it, and if it actually turns on in post, then we will go ahead and just tear into this thing, you guys. I was told that this either has an AMD CPU, which they're not sure what kind of CPU it was, or it has a Core 2 Duo. Not entirely sure, but obviously once we get this thing to post, if it does post, then we will know. So I'm going to get you guys set up, and we are going to go ahead and see what happens with this thing. Hopefully it does not explode. Alright, so we have this thing all nice and hooked up. Should be good to go. One thing worth noting is I was able to actually salvage this GTX 260 from our last video. So I'm hoping that this does work in here. I was actually able to get this to post on my personal computer. So it does in fact work. It took drivers, I benchmarked it, it works fantastic. Very, very, very lucky. For anybody that has not seen the last video, we are using mismatched RAM, but they do run at the same speeds. We are using G-Skill DDR2 and an OCZ DDR2. We've got a 1 terabyte hard drive. We've got our Wi-Fi card and a couple adapters, which we may or may not need, but we will find out. So without further ado, you guys, let's go ahead and get into testing and see if this thing even turns on. God, this thing is just so disgusting. Oh my god. Alright. Alright, so I saw blue light there for a second. Oh, there we go. Alright, we do have beeping. So it is making some weird noises. Alright, so not really sure what that code means, but we will go ahead and get this thing powered off and see what exactly is going on. Which means opening this thing, and oh god, I don't look forward to that. So this is what we got going on inside, you guys, and holy crap, this thing is, it's crusty, it's dusty, it's got spider webs, it's got dead bugs, it's got anything that you could imagine from the outdoors is inside this thing. However, it does look good in the area of our motherboard, our fan. It looks minimally dusty, even though it's actually it's dusty, but it could definitely be worse. So as I take a deeper look, I can see that some of the screws are definitely rusty, so that definitely hints at maybe some type of water damage or just being stored in a not so dry area. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and pull everything out of here. I do not want to work in this case. It is absolutely disgusting. And we even have some spider eggs over there. And I'm definitely hoping that that is old spider eggs and we don't have them hatching in here. That is nasty. Nasty, nasty. Alright. I will get you guys set up once again, and we'll go ahead and start tearing this thing apart. Hopefully I don't get bit by a black widow. Alright, so we got everything nice and set up here. We're going to go ahead and start with getting the power supply disconnected and out of here. And then we will move on with the graphics card, which is actually missing a screw. So I'm thinking maybe that'll just... well, it might not actually come out so easy. It is kind of buried. So, actually. So it has the clip for the PCIe slot on the opposite side, which is kind of ridiculous. See if I can't get my tweezers in there. Alright, that is our graphics card out. Very old and dusty. We have an HD 4550 512 meg DDR3. Old school. Go ahead and set this off to the side. Alright, next up is going to be our power supply. Go ahead and get that disconnected real quick. I have a feeling that before I actually get this motherboard out of here, this whole assembly here is probably going to have to come out. Oh my god, this thing is disgusting. Oh, I wish I had some gloves. Freaking nasty. Alright, so it's looking like this assembly right here is definitely going to have to come out. Oh, well, that's easy. Okay, cool. Alright, so we got that. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and flip this thing face up. Oh my goodness, all kinds of stuff is coming out. Looks like this guy was stored in there somewhere. Not really sure where that just came from. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and pop this front fascia off. Alright, comes off nice and easy. Alright, and hopefully this should just slide right on out. And it does. Alright, that should give us access to our power supply main plug here. Alright, our power supply is disconnected. So first thing I'm noticing right off the bat is that there's no hard drive. That kind of sucks. We got one stick of RAM. That was not inserted all the way. Tisk, tisk, tisk. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to properly insert this, hook this thing back up, and see what happens. Alright, so I've got this thing pretty crudely set up here. I've got a GTX 750 graphics card in here as my testing card. I've got 2 sticks of the OCZ RAM, because that other RAM just, it looks old and worn out, and it was only half a gig, so not going to do it. Everything's nice and hooked up, ready to go. We're going to go ahead and try and power this thing on and see if we can actually get a picture out on this screen, you guys. Alright, we got our picture. I'm going to go ahead and hook up a keyboard and mouse real quick, see if we can get into the BIOS here and see what kind of CPU we're working with. Alright, so it is looking like we are working with a Core 2. It just says Core 2 CPU. I'm not sure if this is a Duo. It doesn't specify in the BIOS here. So we're going to go ahead. I'm going to get a hard drive with some Windows 10 on it, see if we can't get this thing to load into Windows 10, and then find out exactly what CPU it is we're working with and see if I might have an upgrade for it, or see if this will be an equivalent to what we were working with before in the prior video. Looks like we are working with an Intel Core CPU. It's a 6400, which is substantially less than the E8400 that we were working with before. I may have a spare E8400 or something equivalent to it. I'm gonna have to go and check real fast, and then we'll see if we can't get something a little bit more substantial in here. Alright, so unfortunately I do not have a good CPU for this motherboard. They are all equivalent or not compatible, so we're just going to go ahead and run with the CPU that we currently have installed and see what kind of performance we'll get on some games on there. I'm going to go ahead and get this thing unplugged and start tearing it down. Alright, you guys, we have our computer on the operating table. She is ready to be torn down. We're going to start with the PSU, then we'll move on to the GPU, and then we'll go ahead and pull this motherboard out of here. Look at these screws. They are terribly rusted. I'm honestly surprised that this thing still works. That's absolutely incredible. Alright, so next up is going to be our SATA cables. Then we'll go ahead and pull out our GPU. And then we're going to go for our audio cables and USB cables. Alright, next up is going to be our rear exhaust fan. And then we'll go ahead and start getting all these screws out. Alright, so the motherboard should be good to come out. Unless I'm missing a screw somewhere. Beautiful. And this is what we're working with, you guys. I know it's quite ugly, but it shall do. Do have a good bit of crud over here. A lot surrounding the CPU area. So we will go ahead and get this cleaned off, but let's go ahead and get this case off to the side first. Okay, so before we go ahead and clean this guy off, let's go ahead and grab this CPU cooler and get this off of here, and then go ahead and get some new thermal paste on there, you guys. Alright, so we got our CPU cooler and fan off, and this is disgusting. It's absolutely 100% dried up. Looks like it hasn't been changed since 2006. So we'll go ahead and set this off to the side. We're going to go ahead and clean up both of these and then get some new thermal paste on there, you guys. Alright, we'll go ahead and get some thermal paste on the CPU here and start assembly here. So off camera, I'm going to go ahead and get this thing cleaned out. I'm going to dust off a bunch of the crap and crud off of here, and then we will go from there, you guys. Alright, so we have everything nice and wiped off. We have our thermal paste applied. We're going to go ahead and insert the rest of our RAM sticks from here, you guys. Okay, so now that we have our RAM installed, I'm going to go ahead and off camera, I am going to go ahead and stick this into the case. When we come back, this will be installed into our case. If you want to see the installation, go ahead and check out the last video that I did, you guys. I will be back with you guys. We will have games installed and ready to test on this thing and see what happens. Alright, you guys, so we have her all nice and put together, and check her out. Ain't she a beaut? Still couldn't get that rear fan to work, unfortunately. Not a big deal. Definitely not bad for an OG build, you guys. Let's go ahead and move on into some games, homies. Alright, you guys. So, we are back. I have all my games installed. So, right now we're averaging anywhere between 950 and 1010 FPS. Right now, I'm in World of Warcraft 2. It's having no issues. It's running incredibly well. Oh, and I'm now getting attacked, and I'm fighting. And I died. Which is perfectly fine. The main thing is that it's actually working. We're only utilizing our CPU at about 50 to 60%, which is not bad. We are going to go ahead and try Diablo and see how that runs, just to be safe before we actually start running our next games. Alright, you guys, so we are in Diablo 3. We are running at a solid 52 FPS. And a smooth FPS at that. So these are all medium to high settings, and it is working incredibly well. As you can see, I am kicking some butt here. So even with enemies in the area, we are still running very good FPS. So this is definitely a playable experience. Alright you guys, we are going to go ahead and move on to the next game, and it's going to be quite a bit more demanding than this. Alright you guys, so we are in Valheim here, and it is actually running relatively good. I have a few stutters here and there. We are running at all low settings. I am running anywhere between 25 and 40 FPS. So let's go ahead and go out of the little base that I have built here. So it looks like it has a hard time rendering all of my surroundings because I cannot entirely see where I'm going. Alright you guys, so I would definitely not say that this is a playable experience, but it does in fact run the game. So we are going to go ahead and move on to our next game, you guys. Alright you guys, so one of the last games that we are going to try is a game called Long Drive, and this is one of my personal favorites. So far we are running at just over 50 FPS. We have 77% usage on RAM. CPU is right in the 80s. For some reason my GPU and VRAM is not showing up, but let's go ahead and see how this game runs. Alright you guys, so we are averaging between 60 and 80 FPS. Did a little flip there. This game is actually running incredibly well, and this game is only been released within the past few years. So that is crazy that something this old can actually run this game this well. But then again, it is an indie game, so. But I'm getting a solid 70 FPS. Absolutely impressive. We'll get some gameplay here. Oh no! Oh, something happened. Well, as you guys can see, it can definitely run newer games. Alright you guys, so we are on our last game here. This is a game called My Garage. So far, the FPS is absolutely horrendous. We are looking at a total of 17 FPS. So I'm going to just go ahead and walk around a little bit and see if it might improve anywhere. Now I will say that for our mid to high teens, it's actually running kind of okay. But definitely not a playable experience unless you're like on a super budget. And this is like, even kids would be upset with this, to be honest. I mean, I cannot play it like this, but it's definitely running. At least it's running the game. So far we're up to 18 FPS, you guys. Let me go ahead and see if there's any other settings in the graphics that we can change. Because I have everything about as low as it's going to get. Alright, so disabling vegetation and water reflections absolutely does nothing for you. So, you can say it runs the game. You might be able to play the game. But I would say it's definitely not enjoyable. It's not quite a slideshow, but it is very, very laggy. But I will give this thing credit where credit is due. It is running a semi-new game. Anytime that you come into an area that has buildings or extra textures, it definitely likes to get a little bit glitchy. Alright, so we loaded in a couple cars here, and oh my goodness. It is way worse. It is now a slideshow. We're talking 3 FPS right now, you guys. Oh my goodness. As you guys can tell, not gonna work. But hey, it was worth a shot, right? Definitely worth a shot. Alright, you guys. So that just goes to show that you don't need to spend thousands of dollars to get into PC gaming. Granted that yes, this is retro gaming, but still, for those that are like me and enjoy the old school games, this is literally all you need. It's completely affordable, totally feasible for your average Joe, and can offer a very pleasing gaming experience. If you guys enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff. Until next time, I'll catch you guys in the next one.